Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Jared Powley's Fragrance Reviews. Tonight we're going to be looking at a bit of a sleeper fragrance from the house of Halston. This is known as Z. This is an EDT eau de toilette concentration which came out in 1998. So this fragrance should not be mistaken for Z14, which is their most famous fragrance, which came out in 1974. So Z is a woody aromatic fragrance that is relatively unknown to many people. This is a fine little scent if you like fresh citrus vibes. I would also say that this fragrance is more complex than other fresh fragrances, but there is one flaw to this fragrance. It seems to lack a dimension that would have taken it to another level. And it's good, but it's not great. It had the potential to be great, but it never was fully actualized. So here's the bottle. And I'm going to give it a spray. So initially, you have a fairly sharp and somewhat sour citrus, but it mellows out within maybe 20-30 seconds, and it becomes a little bit spicy and bitter. As the dry down continues and as the fragrance starts to develop, you get this citrus pine note that is slightly soapy. Later on, the fragrance becomes more woody with some floral notes, but you still have the soapy citrus vibe. One thing that seems to happen later on as the fragrance seems to pull closer to the skin and it loses a lot of its projection, the dry down takes on this very unique characteristic of this kind of dusty cedar soapy vibe that is very, very appealing. The main problem with that is it doesn't project, it doesn't push. So unless you get your nose right up to your skin, you're not going to be able to pick it up. And I don't think even with the scent wafts, anybody's going to pick up this very nice dry down. So as advertised, the top notes are bergamot, lemon, coriander, lavender, and mandarin orange. The mid notes are cedar, geranium, juniper berries, jasmine, neroli, and lily of the valley. The base notes are oak moss, musk, vetiver, ambergris, sandalwood, and palisander rosewood. And there's just two notes I just want to discuss briefly. The first one is oak moss, which is part of the wood moss family. It has a bitter smell that comes from the lichen, which grows on oaks. It's kind of like a white substance. I'm not sure if it's a fungus, but it grows on oaks in Europe, mainly in the Balkans. But now oak moss, because of skin irritations, apparently, it has been restricted several years ago. I think it still can be used in some aspects, but I'm not exactly sure. And oak moss was a very popular ingredient in the heavy fragrances of the 70s and 80s and even of the early 90s, especially as a base note. The other note I want to talk about is geranium. Geranium, of course, is a flower. The leaves are used and it produces a kind of a rosy smell, but it has a aromatic greenish base. So those are just two notes I just wanted to talk a little bit about. So final thoughts about this fragrance. I really like this scent. It is very good, but like I said, it's missing a dimension. It's missing a note to make it great. Maybe it just needs to push more. Maybe it just needs to project more. But I find that the dry down really starts to tighten up to the skin, and that makes it almost impossible for really anybody to smell. The performance is okay. I got about 4 hours, and then, like I said, it starts to pull in tight. The projection for the first 2 hours is decent, but then it really dies off, which is a bit of a disappointment. So, like I said, this fragrance lacks the pop, which would make it great. It's a little too laid back. And who would wear this fragrance? I think anybody maybe late 20s and up. I think it's a more mature fragrance. I think it can be used in the summertime, and it could be a signature scent because I think it's very complex, fairly complex, and somewhat sophisticated and elegant for citrus fresh fragrance. If you have any experiences with this fragrance, any questions or any comments, leave them down below. And I'll always get back to you. And if you like this video, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.